No matter which chapter is your favorite, every single chapter within Red Dead Redemption 2 is crucial for one reason or another. More often than not, it's crucial for multiple reasons. Culture, although largely basically serves nothing more than a tutorial purpose, at least speaking strictly from a gameplay perspective, narratively it's quite important. It sets the tone for the overall situation the gang finds himself in, being on the run, the casualties that they suffered, and within the opening moments you can already see the amount of love and respect everyone has for Dutch.
But we lost some folks. Now, if I could throw myself in the ground in their stead, I'd do it, gladly. But we're gonna ride out, and we're gonna find some food.
How charismatic he can be, how calming he is in seemingly the most dire situations. While not too much, we're given a little bit of insight into Arthur, at least how much of a valuable asset he is to the gang, his combat prowess, his hunting abilities or lack thereof, and even his relationship with his brother John Marston. Horseshoe Overlook, I've always said, is a peek behind the scenes, how the gang operated before everything went downhill. While their overall situation of being wanted and out on the run isn't entirely lost on them, there's at least a moment of relief. While trying to establish themselves just outside the town of Valentine, various gang members find various things to get into, ensuring the gang's overall survival and hopefully moving a step closer to Dutch's overall dream of moving out west, even though they went the complete opposite direction of that. Considering Red Dead Redemption 2's story is not just the Vanderlyn gang but the overall health of Arthur, Horseshoe Overlook is also great because it shows Arthur in his peak physical health without any sort of player intervention. He's the healthiest in this chapter, or at least he's presented to us the exact way the developers wanted us to see him as physically. And then we make our way over to Clemens' point.
So what do you think?
About what?
The fine folks around these parts.
Oh, real nice.
Exactly. On the one side, we have got the Gray family. Scots, degenerates, drunkards, the local law. You couldn't make this stuff up. Rich as Croesus. And on the other, their mortal enemies, the Braithwaites. Moonshiners, hypocritical, both rolling, we believe.
In gold. And in the middle of it all, you got some inbred retelling of Romeo and Juliet.
Exactly.
So what you boys thinking? We try to rob them both.
Clemens' point is my favorite chapter. Well, sort of. It's hard to say exactly. I think I have a favorite chapter for different reasons, depending on how you look at it. Clemens' point to me, though, is exactly when the game's world feels like it finally opens up to you. The gang is moving deeper into a portion of the map that, if you're not really that adventurous, you wouldn't really go that out into. I mean, keep in mind, for first-time players, the map itself is quite massive, and the world that this game presents to us is so lively and easy to interact with and get lost in that I never had an incentive to go this far away from my objective. And believe me, that's not a complaint. It's actually the complete opposite. Even to this day, 6 or so years later, I still get lost in sections of the world that I've explored countless of times. But what I was saying was, because of the missions, the story, and the world itself that were given during the events of Horseshoe Overlook, we're actually sent in the complete opposite direction. To the town of Strawberry, for instance, to save Micah, or later on when you help him rob a bank wagon. That whole area is completely different. There's forests, there's animals you can hunt, there's an entire region that's just completely opened up to you. Or let's move a little closer to home. Near Valentine, you have things such as the dismembered body right next to the railroad tracks, the first initial clue leading to Edmund Lowry Jr., a serial killer that's operating out in the local area. And of course, you're barraged by the O'Driscolls from time to time, but I just got so invested with what we were given at this point in time that there was no reason for me to venture out this way. But when it came to Clemens' point, world-wise, the area itself has so much to offer, from your first KKK meeting deep within the forest late into the night, to the local Civil War battlefields that you can explore. Relics that aren't assigned to the past as they should be, as the area is still played by the Lemoyne Raiders, a faction of bandits within the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. Once a proud unit fighting for the South in Civil War, these men refused to accept the war was over, and have turned to harassing the local populace. You can find them out in the open world camping in certain areas, telling stories that happened during the war.
Then I come to in a cloud of smoke. I think I must be at the gates of hell. and then it clears. And I see a swarm of them damn bluebellies. They're not 20 feet from me. And I ain't got no rifle. I ain't got no gun. I ain't got no nothing. So I just turn and I run at them. And they raise their rifles and they fire, but it don't make no sound. Their powder was too damn. So I get in there and I take them with my fist one by one until I know they're dead.
And at some points they find themselves becoming a target within the context of the main story that this chapter aims to tell, which we'll circle back to in just a second. But a lot of side quests and side stories from this chapter are phenomenal as well, helping out Jeremiah Compson, an ex-slaver, retrieve items from his previous life. It's interesting to see Arthur's reaction to all of that, and it's yet another piece that adds to the overall history of this section of the map. Or helping out Mr. Black and Mr. White, two convicts that recently escaped from a chain gang, and their story is actually quite long. For the first time ever, I had no idea that there was a part 5, and you can find these two hiding out in the forests of West Elizabeth.
Hey, you alright, mister? Can we help you?
I'm fine. Oh, I know you two.
Hey, look who it is.
I barely recognized you boys on account of you not trying to kill each other.
Yeah, well, somebody learned his manners. Finally.
Or even being swindled by Margaret, a circus performer who dresses as a woman and fights exotic animals. The final mission that he has, capturing his lion, is possibly one of the biggest quote-unquote plot twists that this game offers.
Sweet mother. Easy, boy. Easy. Shit! A man-eating lion. You didn't think that it might be useful for me to know that this time the animal was actually real, you moron?
Steady on. I clearly stated that we were looking
You
for...
haven't clearly stated anything in all the time I've known you. That could have been a goose for all I
A
knew.
goose will hardly get them to their feet for the curtain call. Bring on the king of the beasts, on the other hand, and they feel the roar. And they, well, look about as surprised as you do.
And as far as side stories and characters to help out strangers to meet, that is just scratching the surface. But as far as the main story goes, there is so much here. We get more development of the relationship between Arthur and Charles, how they feed into each other, the polar opposites, or seemingly polar opposites that they are on the surface. But the gang's position of trying to take advantage of these two warring families, the Greys and the Braithwaites, that have their hands in operations from running the local town of Rhodes as being the sheriffs, to the Braithwaites working with the Lemoyne Raiders and running an illegal moonshining operation out in the nearby swamps. The gang's position in this chapter is very unique, and it's not repeated in any way in any other chapter. It's basically split in two here. We have the Greys, where Dutch basically is spearheading the entire operation. He comes to Sheriff Gray's side, helps him and the other sheriffs apprehend some local bandits that manage to get away, and then they help with the overall law enforcement of the town of Rhodes, specifically taking down the Braithwaite moonshining operation. And then on the other side of the fence, you have Hosea being the main line of communication with the Braithwaites, having a totally different approach. And it's kind of the dynamic that also, through the missions and what they're doing, shows exactly how Dutch is so different from Hosea and how they try to con or overtake a situation. Dutch just doesn't care. American Distillation is all about apprehending the Lemoyne Raiders, guns blazing. I mean, although granted, it wasn't entirely his fault, but the fact that he's going in with the law behind him, we're the power element, we're the ones in control here. At the very least, it's the writer's intention to give us that feeling. Whereas with Hosea, his line of communication with the Braithwaites is all about conning. Hey, we accidentally ran into your moonshine that you lost. We're happy to sell it back to you. Braithwaites obviously want nothing to do with that, so instead, they go back into the town under disguise and give away the moonshine for free in order to hurt the Grey's pockets. Between the two of them, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but out of all the chapters, don't get me wrong, Hosea has a hand in everything. From Saint Denis, he's instrumental in the overall planning and execution of the Saint Denis bank robbery. He's also there during the Gilded Cage and at the very end of the mission where we bring Jack back. He's also important during Horseshoe Overlook, although you don't see him that much. That in no way can minimize his importance. Exit pursued by a bruised ego is invaluable in providing a first-hand account of how much Arthur really respects him. Later on during the Spines of America, we also get our earliest taste of Hosea's MO of being less guns blazing and working a job intelligently and efficiently. Yet, we see a lot more of him during Clemens Point, and it's really the final mission of Clemens Point, Blood Feuds. That is why I love this chapter so much. It is the ultimate climax of everything. There might be some missions where you can say the entire gang comes together and works cohesively to an overall objective, but for me, it is this mission right here. From the build-up, the whole purpose of them going to Braithwaite Manor is to retrieve one of their own, and not just one of their own, but a child that was kidnapped off the gang's own territory. The entire mission is damn near perfect. Of course, there's gameplay where there's constant fighting and there's a shootout in front of the manor, then you basically completely take over the manor, then defend it, and then burn it down. But as far as the gang, character-wise, and cinematography and music in this mission does not miss a beat. Like that opening scene where they're running up to Braithwaite Manor or walking up, every single one of them are in line with Dutch leading the way. At this point in time, they're all for the plan, which is getting Jack back, and there's going to be hell to pay in the process. This is all for John's son, who he never completely claimed, yes, but something they all clearly agree on is that's irrelevant. Jack is one of their own. Jack is an innocent kid, a kid that they kidnapped in order to get even. They took advantage of a young, helpless child, and they thought that that was okay. I'm gonna play the whole clip in just a second, but the dialogue is all about getting you in the mind state of what exactly is going through their own heads. Lenny recounts Sean just recently dying, and now Jack is gone. They should have never got involved in this. Bill immediately responds by saying it's a little too late for that. And then Dutch talks about how this is a hillbilly family who steals a boy. And it's that mentality that him and even Hosea are on the same page on.
First Sean, now Jack. We should have stayed out of all of this.
Bit late for that, ain't it?
Quiet. We're going to fix this right now.
Like they don't know we're coming.
Come on, let's get this done. John, you sure you're okay?
Like I said, I'm fine.
Follow my lead. Both these redneck families think they can ruin us? I don't think so.
There they are.
Who steals a goddamn boy?
I'm gonna let fly at those sons of bitches!
John, I need you to stay calm. Get down here now, you inbred trash!
What the hell do you want?
Easy, John.
We've come for the boy. You must have known we would.
Shouldn't have messed with our business now, should you?
Whatever complaint you have with us, alleged or otherwise, that is a young boy. That is not the way you do things. Hand him over.
Get the hell off our land!
If you ain't gonna be civilized about this.
Later on, when they storm the house and they finally locate Catherine, and Dutch kicks down the door and slams her up against the wall and threatens to kill her, pulling out his pistol and cocking it while Hosea is scolding her in her ear.
You want me to kill you too, old woman?
Bastards!
Where's the boy?
We have lived in this house for 120 years. We never had no problems except for
Where
Yankees.
is the boy? Who took him?
You killed my son!
Oh, and I will surely kill the rest of them unless you start talking.
Oh, I know your type. Common scum.
Where is the boy?
You filth.
All right, we get her out of here.
We never see Hosea like that. It's an extremely protective side of him that took the reins, that takes center stage. And then, of course, later on, he's yelling at her again while she's laying in the dirt, and he's telling her how she's messed up and children are off limits, regardless of what they've done.
Why'd you take the boy, Mrs. Braithwaite?
You stole my
Boys are off
liquor.
limits.
You stole my horses. Ain't no rules in war, mister.
Matthews.
Yes, that's it.
Where's the boy?
And then the way he just casually says his name to her, hands down, Hosea's most badass moment. That and pulling a pistol out on Bill and telling him to go sleep off him being drunk. It also gives a little food for thought as to what if there ever came a time where Hosea actually had to take control of the gang. He wasn't so content with the idea of just retiring and living a life of leisure, and he was more than willing to step up to the plate. And let's say he was even a little healthier and he wasn't sick with whatever illness is plaguing his body. It just makes you wonder as to how much more differently his leadership would have been compared to Dutch's. Sure, there's other missions that have done action better, or there's more action. There's other missions that have done story, lore, or overall character development much better, but there's very few, if any, that has this level of coordination between the entire gang. To me, Blood Feuds is the most iconic mission of the game, and it's one that without the game would not be the same. I've heard people criticize how small of a role the Greys and the Braithwaites play in the overall story. It would be nice to have a longer section, or even delve a little deeper into the whole Civil War backstory and how that affects the overall local area and populace, but small or not, I think the entire chapter contributes a lot more to Hosea's overall leadership and how the gang possibly operated in the past when it came to a full war economy. You know, we gotta get back, we gotta do this, we gotta retrieve our own. Maybe not get back, because it sounded like they kind of abstained from the whole revenge and getting even, but as far as retrieving someone that was taken from them and ensuring no one is left behind, this is the ultimate of the gang coming together.
Who took him?
You killed my son.
Oh, and I will surely kill the rest of them unless you start talking.
At least that's my take. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Blood Feuds. It's my favorite mission. From Clemens' point, specifically, there's a couple that I really enjoy. Fine Joys of Tobacco's up there as far as iconic goes. I think that more so because the marketing played a hand in that. But let me know what you think. What's your take on Blood Feuds? As a matter of fact, what is your most iconic mission in the entire game? Or what's a mission where you see gameplay and you just immediately want to hop back into Red Dead Redemption 2? I'd love to hear from you. Let's talk down in the comment section below. I just wanted this to be a little bit more of a casual video, but like always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.